They felt shame and separated themselves from God. They stopped seeing God as the ultimate restorer, as the ultimate healer. What good does shame do? That's like going to the doctor and not telling the doctor what you're dealing with because you're ashamed. You don't tell your friends, you don't tell social media, but you tell the doctor because the doctor is the only one with the ability to give you the medicine that can heal you. What good does it do to be ashamed of the only person who can heal you, which is Jesus Christ? A lot of times God is silent, but he is silent. His silence is not punishment. It's love in the form of discipline. A lot of us can't stand when we feel like God is being silent. But do you know how loud silence is? Silence is not proof God has left you. Silence is actually the greatest proof that God is right there with you. There has been times that I've walked in a room and said nothing, but my presence was louder than my voice could have ever been. And I know a lot of y'all has experienced this too, where the tension is so heavy that nothing is said, but everything is already spoken. A lot of time God has already told us the same things in many different ways, but we don't take heed. We don't listen. And the reason we don't listen is because we don't know it's God. Why don't we know it's God? Because we don't know his voice. Why don't we know his voice? Because we don't read our Bible enough to know his tone and the character of his voice. So God continues to give us the answers in many different ways because he has grace for us and he wants us to be successful. What we don't realize what we don't realize that it's God and we don't take heed to them. So he says, I'm not silent because I'm punishing them. I'm silent because I've already provided everything they need in this season. And they can't go to the next step until they take heed to what I've already told them. If you're yelling that the answer is B in somebody's ear and they keep on circling A, at some point you're part of the problem because obviously the method that you're trying to use is not working. So you know what God do? He said God is not wasteful. He's not a God who has to repeat himself unnecessarily. But he does love us enough to discipline us. So what he does is he let us learn the hard way. Experience is not the best teacher, but it is the hardest teacher. So God is not silent because he doesn't have anything to say. He's silent because he's already said everything he needs to say and you haven't taken heed to it. And because you haven't taken heed to it, he allows you to keep circling B. And circling B pushes you into a place that you don't want to be. Then once you're there, you start looking around saying, maybe I should have done this differently. You know how we are when everything feels good, when we feel like we're on top and we feel like we got everything under control, we don't pray as much as we should. But as soon as everything falls apart, we hit rock bottom and that's when we start crying out to God. And when we cry out to God, we suddenly get thirsty to hear his voice. And then that's when we realize, oh, he's been telling me the whole time to do this. So God will not ghost you, but he will not repeat himself. And when I say that, I'm not saying he won't give it to you multiple times because he will. What I'm actually trying to say is, God will not give you the answer to number 2 when you haven't taken heed to the answer to number 1. God will not give you clarity for something you're not supposed to be in. So God may be trying to lead you to one situation, but you're holding on to another situation trying to make it work. You can't figure it out, so you start praying, God, help me figure this out. Meanwhile, God is giving you signs saying, don't do that, do this over here. But because you're not talking to God, because you're not in God's will, because you don't know God's will for your life, because you don't spend enough time in prayer, because you don't spend enough time in the word, because you don't spend enough time